Hello, welcome back. It's good to see you again. So much about living up to our potential has to do with how we think. And so much of our thinking process is affected by our abilities to be able to have vision into the future, the ability to be able to see ourselves many years into the future, and then prepare today to make the right decisions possible so we can really get to where we want to go. Remember that old scripture in Proverbs? Where there is no vision, the people perish. Developing the virtue of vision is absolutely essential to good financial planning. Hi, my name is Mark McKell. I'm the managing partner of McKell Partners, and I help run a wealth management firm, a comprehensive wealth management firm on the West Coast. We have a growing number of people and professionals helping others experience financial peace. I wanted to spend a quick few minutes in this video and talk about a concept, an analogy, a word picture, kind of reframe for you how to look at your financial life maybe a different way. And the topic that I want to call that today is up and down the mountain. Up and down the mountain. We may use kind of a hiking analogy in this regard. Let me share a screen if I could here for a few moments and allow you to see this particular concept a little bit differently. There are two phases in our economic lives. The first phase is the accumulation phase of life. Let's use this an analogy like hiking up and down a mountain. In the accumulation phase of life, it's like hiking up the mountain. We're building a career, we buy a home, we raise a family, we put money away, or we're growing a business, right? That's the accumulation phase of life, and we're accumulating assets, especially if we work in the private sector, or if we're in the public sector, we're building a pension, someplace that we work. When we get to the top of this proverbial mountain, that might represent retirement. And after retirement, we head into an entirely different phase. We call this the distribution phase of life. Because if we're in the private sector and we put together a pot of money, maybe a 401k or some other investment or savings account, or we've built a business that has value, on the downside of the mountain, our bodies are no longer at work. Our money is at work. And we begin to distribute the assets that we have set aside to be able to support us in the lifestyle of our choice. The challenge is we don't know quite when we're going to sunset. We don't know when we're going to pass away. And so we don't really know where this end spot is. And so we're going to distribute those assets during this second phase of life. Here's the key. The tools, the risks, and the strategies on the way up the mountain are completely different than the risks, tools, and strategies on the downside of the mountain. The challenge is we get caught in up the mountain thinking. And we think that the same risks, tools, and strategies on the way up are the same ones that are on the way down. They're not. And unbeknownst to us, sometimes we get to the top of the mountain and the rules change. Let me give you a couple examples. It's very rare on the upside of the mountain that people talk about having a long-term care event. And yet on the downside of the mountain, that's one of our biggest risks and one of our biggest concerns, because economically, it can be devastating for an estate. I may have already mentioned that on the way up the mountain, we're thinking about an accumulation rate, or we're thinking about rates of return. Well, when we get to the top of the mountain, now we're converting assets to income, and we're going to start taking out money to live on. On the downside of the mountain, is rate of return important? Well, sure, it's important. But now we're thinking about something called withdrawal rate risk, or sequences of return, principles that are incredibly important to make sure we don't run out of money. Let's think about something else that I think is really different on the upside versus the downside, and that is the area of estate planning. Probably the number one question I get from seniors that are in retirement on the downside of the mountain is, how do my assets pass to the next generation? What about wills and trusts and power of attorney documents for healthcare and for finances? I hope this helps you. But the next real important part is to identify, where are you on the mountain? Are you on the way up? Are you in transition? Are you on the way down? And do you have an effective understanding of some of the things you need to do from a standpoint of what are the goals, what are the risks, and what are the strategies in that effective financial planning process? I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've been able to maybe understand a little bit differently regarding your financial life, that this particular analogy of hiking up and down the mountain is helpful to you. Here's something else I thought would be helpful. Where are most hiking accidents for people that are professional hikers? Is it on the way up the mountain, or is it on the way down the mountain? It's on the way down the mountain. It's like 75% of all hiking accidents are on the way down. You know, there's different equipment, tools, and strategies used when you're hiking on the way up as you are on the way down. And if you ask an expert hiker, what's your objective? They never say to get to the top. Oh, that's important. But what they say is that they want to get home safely. And the same thing is true as in effective financial planning. We want to get home safely. Hey, I hope that's been helpful. I have a great rest of the week. I hope we get a chance to meet each other sometime. And I hope this conversation about these two different economic phases of life has been helpful. All right, take care.